Hey there, Diana from Adirondack Girl at Heart. I help vintage and antique lovers make more money selling vintage and antiques. One of the ways I do that is through these videos. Another way is through my website, adirondackgirlatheart.com. It's filled with all kinds of articles about various vintage and antiques, about collecting them, selling them, cleaning them, pricing them, all kinds of things. Today I'm sharing the fourth of 4 installments of vintage and antiques that we picked up while we were on vacation in England. We visited there for 3 weeks and we traveled all around the country, and of course I shopped as much as possible. We went to charity shops, we went to car boot sales, we went to antique malls, and we went to open air markets. Those are the finds I'm sharing today. Everything I bought at 3 open air markets that we went to. The first was in Chesterfield, which is in the Midland area of England, and I used to shop there every Thursday when we lived in Derby, England, back in 2009 to 2011. It's my favorite place to shop. And then we hit an open air market in Bath and then another one in London. By far, most of the things that I bought were from Chesterfield, and I can't wait to show them all to you. So I'm gonna start with this tiny little, I'm gonna call it, it's a button hook, right? If your gloves had buttons, then you could use this to help you button them. Now, I feel like the handle is plastic, not super early, but it might be Bakelite, so I thought I'd test it. Right here, I haven't tested it before. I'm using Simichrome polish. It's a common way to test if something is Bakelite or not. And what you do is you put a tiny little dab on the item and rub it. Sometimes it comes out a little bit black because the plastic is dirty, in which case, and that's what happened, it's a little bit black. So I'm gonna put another dab on there, and if it's Bakelite, it will turn the pink paste yellow, and that's how you can tell if it's Bakelite or not. And still a little bit dirty and definitely not yellow. So this is not Bakelite, but oh my gosh, it is as cute as can be, isn't it? I have an article on my website all about button hooks. I'll link to that down below. This one cost £1. The exchange rate was, for one pound was worth $1.35. So we were on the losing end of that, of that deal. And I would price this at about $10 or $12, just because it's so cute. And then I picked up this metal one, and it's marked Public Benefit Boot Company. It was also £1, and this one is worth more, like probably $8 to $10. I'm gonna be listing a lot of the items that we bought in the UK on Etsy, where I think they're gonna sell better for higher amount and faster than from my antique booth. But I typically don't like to list things that are under $25 or $30. So I could throw this in, or I could actually possibly sell these two together for something in the $25 range. And then I visited one of my favorite booths. I had 2 really booths that I loved, and I got to know the vendors really well while we lived there 15 years ago, right? So and they were a little older even then, and but I was hoping they would be there, and they were. So the first one was Morris, and he sells just really nice things, and he gave me a little deal, and I would never have asked for it because the items were priced so reasonably. This one was priced for $3, and he gave it to me for $2. It's a letter opener. It's brass on this end and china on this end, and I'm working on an article about leather openers. I think this one's worth about $15 to $20. And then the other item that I bought from him was this little Toby jug, and it is marked made in Staffordshire Royal Doulton, which is a great pottery up in the Midlands area. So it was marked 4, but he gave it to me for 3. Just a real sweetie. I think these are worth about $15 to $20. I don't come across a lot of Toby jugs, and I don't sell a lot of them. The Chesterfield market, which I will be writing about on my website, is huge. And they are currently in the process of updating it. So whereas if you walked between booths and it was raining, you'd get rained on. It's covered in a way that that won't happen. So if it's raining, you can shop in comfort. And they're working on it in 3 stages. So they finished 1 stage, they're on the 2nd, and then they'll move to the 3rd. I would say there's over 100 vendors. And by the end of the day, I could hardly walk because I had been shopping for so long. Okay, so I also picked up this little brownie. I have a price guide in my member library. So when you subscribe to my newsletter, you can get into the member library. So I have a camera price guide, and I wanted to add this to it. And my daughter collects cameras. So it was £1. It's a brownie. It's a 620 Brownie Junior. Really cute. And I think it's worth about $15 to $20. I haven't had time yet to like really do a lot of research on things, so I'm sort of giving you my gut and why I picked that particular item up. So I found 3 butter pats in my shopping. This one is marked genuine bone china, Taiwan, not England. 1970s, really cute with those little violets. Should sell for about 6 or 7 from my antique booth. This one is the pattern, the transferware pattern is called Landscape, and it's WR Midwinter Limited. I've never heard of that company. England. Super cute. Might try to sell that on Etsy all on its own for about $15. It was £1. These were all £1. This one also £1. Fine bone china, Crown Staffordshire. This is a little bit newer, but pretty with, I guess I would call those dogwoods, and might try that on Etsy also for something in the $15 range. From my antique booth, they would sell for probably $6. So while we're on China, look at that. It was so interesting and unusual, the scene there. Not your typical transferware, definitely flow blue, right? The cobalt is kind of overflowed the boundaries. So on the back, it's marked Royal Staffordshire Pottery, Burslem, England. Nice mark. No chips or cracks. Back in the day, Flow Blue sold for really high prices. This might have sold for $100 even back in the day. Nowadays, on Etsy, I would hope to get $35 for that. This was the second antique dealer that I was hoping would still be there, and his name is Joe, and he would always have, excuse me, one table that either like everything was, 2 items for £3, or every item was £1, or sometimes even 3 items for £1. So on this particular day, he had the table and it was £1 for each item. And if you bought 10 items, you got 2 more for free. So of course I bought 12. So this is one of the 12 that I picked up. So it was £1. And I also picked up a couple of items that were more than £1. So this was £1. It's not like super special. It's chrome, and this is plastic, but it kind of looks like mother of pearl. And I just thought it was sweet. And it was £1, should sell for about $6. So some paper goods. At the London market that we went to, there was a book that I bought that was £1. So this is the cover of the book, which in and of itself, I think, is completely frameable. And it was kind of thick and it weighed a lot. And I was a little bit concerned about the weight of my suitcases coming back. So if you've been following along with these England videos, then you know that we brought an empty suitcase with us so that I could fill it with stuff. So that's the suitcases that we put under couldn't weigh more than 50 pounds. And really your carry-ons shouldn't weigh more than 50 pounds. So I had to be careful. As it turns out, I could have brought the book back, but what I did was I just pulled out the things that I really liked about it. So it was a pound, and so I took the cover because I thought that was kind of cool. Here's one of the illustrations, and I'm not sure what it dates from. This was an insert that I thought was cool. You could sign up for the Union Jack Club, which is the name of the organization, I think, that published this magazine. Here's another image that was in the book. And then this I thought was really pretty. So in my antique booth, I have a kind of a rack where I sell paper goods like this. And there's another page. Thought this was pretty. Madame Columbine. Did you see that one? And there were some ads in the back. So there's a Lipton's ad and French coffee ad and a Singer sewing ad right there. And here's kind of a funny illustration. So in any event, it was £1 for all of those, and I will sell those for £1 to £2, and I might frame one of them and sell that for, you know, 25 or 30. So that was a good deal. Since I mentioned Singer, I picked this up in a package with two other pieces of two maps that I'm just not gonna bother to show you because they're just hard to open. But I have some Singer items set aside that I'm gonna sell as a lot on Etsy. So this is instructions for a specific Singer machine. So I'll add that in there. Okay, other paper goods are these. They're little French seed packages. New old stock, never used, and they're French. They were 2 for £1. I wanted to buy them all. This was from the Bath open air market. I have no idea like what their value might be. Maybe on Etsy, the two of them, along with some other ephemera, you know, some other maybe scrapbooking things. Not sure how I'll sell those. And then I am working on a postcard article, and I can't resist these beautiful little children. This one has a postmark of 1916, and I need to research. This is in really good shape. The corners are not bumped at all, and so I paid £1 for it. Could it be worth 10 pounds? I'm not sure. Have to find out. If you have thoughts on that, let me know down below. So Joe, my dude with the table where the items were £1, had this Beatrix Potter book, The Story of Miss Moppet, and it was £1. I picked up 2 other ones that in the end turned out not to be in good condition, but I pulled out the images from them that were still in good shape. So often the English do not copyright their books, especially older books. And this one does not have a copyright, but it's a little bit older, not the green that we're used to. So I'm hoping $10 to $15 on that one. And then this is one of my favorite finds. This is an Eastern European passport. At least that's what the seller thought. It's got this great wax, or looks like wax, but I think it is a sticker on there, with really interesting pages on the inside. And it was £3, so that was just worth it. And then there are some empty pages. So I think a junk journaler or a scrapbooker or a historian who would like something like this is gonna wanna buy it. So on Etsy, I will try it out, I think in the $30 range at first, because that is a very unique item. And then little leather bound book. Is that, it's so gorgeous. It is a book of Byron, Lord Byron's poetry. And it's dated, the inscription is dated 1926, but I do feel like it's much older than that. I would say maybe the turn of the century or even older. So it was £2 at the open air market in Chesterfield. And I feel like it's worth about $25 or $30 for that. And we already looked at that. I did buy a few pieces of jewelry, even though I'm not supposed to. I have certain rules for myself that I try to follow, but not always faithfully. So these watches were £1 each. And what I do with these little beauties, I turn them into bracelets. I use 5 of them to make a bracelet. And I've sold about 5 or 6 of these on Etsy for $67. Sometimes people get a coupon, like if they put something in their cart and they don't buy it right away, Etsy will send a coupon for me that I've approved for 15% off. So sometimes they sell for more in the 54 maybe dollar range, something like that. So I always look for those watches, and they have to be the type that have these sorts of ends like that, loops, essentially, that I can then put a jump ring through to make the bracelet. Okay, so those were $1, and this was, or £1. This is £1. It's a magnifying glass with, this is mother of pearl frame, which I just thought was really cool. Now, you can't really use it because it's very scratched up, but I thought it would make a great pendant. It will look good in a shadow box also. So it was £1. If I were gonna turn it into a pendant, maybe $15, $12 or $15 for that. And then these earrings came in something else that cost £1. They just happened to be in there. I call this Spanish silver, and I don't think it's real silver. It's not marked anywhere, but $10 or $12 for that pair of earrings. And then this actually is from a charity shop. It just got mixed in here. At a charity shop, I bought a bag of jewelry, maybe like 20 pieces of costume jewelry. And in it was this sterling silver pendant, just a sweet little loop. It's a little bit twisted from the shipping, but the chain and the pendant are both sterling silver. And the rest of the items I'm gonna use, I'm gonna take them apart. A couple of the necklaces actually I will sell at my antique shop for about $8 to $10. This one, also from my booth, should sell for about $15. And so 3 more pieces that did not cost £1. There's a Christmas tree pin, which I have an article all about Christmas tree pins specifically because they sell really, really well, whether from your antique booth or eBay or Etsy. I sell them on Etsy. This one is so rhinestoned up. It's not signed, so the signed ones are gonna sell for a higher amount like Monet or Jerry's. But this one I feel should sell for $25 to $30. This pin I bought from Joe's booth. It's a brass frame. This is embroidery. Beautiful, beautiful handiwork on that. The stitches are so tiny. And it was £3. And on Etsy, I'm gonna list it for $35 to $40. And then last piece of jewelry, I picked this up in Bath. It's marked sterling silver. I think these are probably maybe like lab made garnets very pretty, just loaded, absolutely loaded with garnets. And I walked up to the booth and the fellow said, all the rings are 10 pounds. And I was like, what? And so I found this one and picked it up. It's too small. It's too small for me, really. Well, yeah, it's too small. But he said that the woman that they bought them from collected cocktail rings, and at some point somebody had a 40 pound tag on there. So I do think on Etsy that I will price that at about $50 or $60. I just think it's really, 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 really nice. So that's it for the jewelry. Also in Chesterfield, picked up this presentation box. I have an article all about them on my website. Really nice with a nice clasp there. It was 2 pounds. I'm not sure what it held. I can't really figure out, like there's a lot of little metal, velvet covered metal hoops to hold something in place. If you have thoughts on that, let me know. But I feel like it should sell for about $30 to $35 on Etsy or on eBay. Okay, I have a lot more to go through. Not sure I'm gonna make it. Okay, let's do a little faux tortoise container. It's got a little push button that opens it. It's cigarettes, I believe, and should sell for 15 to 18. Cute little ironstone. I'm calling it ironstone, but it's marked Limoges, France. So it's really China, but I just thought it was so cute. Would have had a lid. It just called to me. 3 pounds for the little jar. Might try it on Etsy, maybe with some other ironstone-ish, you know, white china, white pottery things. Not sure what I would put on that. If you saw my other videos, you know I have picked up a lot of brass in England, especially from antique malls, but this was from the market and it was 1 pound, and I would put 10 to 12 on that. Then this little pitcher, I have an article about mini pitchers, and it's marked made in England on the bottom. It's got these adorable parody type birds, just sort of quintessentially England to me. It was 1 pound and I will price it at 15. At the London open market, I picked up these 2 compacts. They are definitely worn. I'm calling them romantic. The wear makes them romantic. And the insides are in really, really great shape. See the mirror? There's still powder and the powder puff in this one. That's the back. And then this one needs a little bit of cleaning, but it is also romantic. It is not perfect. The back is pretty perfect. Has a nice little, geez, wondering if this is actually sterling. It's like little marcasite flower basket there. And it opens very nicely. It has the mirror, and then you open this part and there's the puff. This one is very, very fluffy. So I will have to like research them, but I'm hoping like on Etsy I could do 25 on each of them. And then this is another little compacty sort of thing. I actually paid 2 pounds for this one, and it is tricky to open. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it, but there's the front. You can see it was 2 pounds, and it's got a mirror inside, if I remember that correctly. Also from Chesterfield, just a very sweet little painting. It's a real painting on wood, and it was 2 pounds, and I'd like to put 25 on that, 25 to 28. Now I have some silver plate. I use a couple of different products to clean silver plate. I use the pink stuff. So this is the Wright's Silver Cream, and inside it has a sponge, and it's pink. And it does very well with cleaning. It's not super fast, depending on how much something is tarnished. But I also use Simichrome. So this is what I use to test the Bakelite, but it cleans up plastic and silver and copper and brass and that sort of thing. This comes from Chesterfield and it cost £1. And it does have some hallmarks on the bottom. EPNS, so electroplate, nickel, silver. No hallmarks, just that mark. But for £1, I couldn't resist. It's got light blue velvet, not in perfect shape, but oh my gosh, just a very neat piece to have on your bedside and put maybe your pills in there if you're old like me, or your mouth guard. Or maybe, I was gonna say cigarettes, but probably not with the velvet. A little jewelry box, little trinket box. And I think that I'm gonna clean it up. I mean, it's not in actually bad condition right now. Somebody did do a little polishing, but let's say 25 to 30, maybe a little bit more on Etsy. This little picture frame was £2. I thought it was adorable, and it definitely has age. You see, it has a wooden back and a little wire tripod-y thing there. I'm gonna say 25 on Etsy for that one. This I bought from Joe's booth at Chesterfield. It's a little pin cushion, which I'm not sure if it was originally a pin cushion or if someone, it lost its top and someone made it into a pin cushion. I feel like it probably was a pin cushion. It was £4, and I hope that it will sell for $25 or $30 for that. And then this was £1. I have no idea what would have, like, it has a mustard top, right? Mustard jars, little mustard jars would have a little opening for a spoon there. But this is tall and it's heavy crystal. Really pretty. I think that's really pretty. Now, it is marked EPNS, right? So it's silver plate, but the spoon that came with it, both these two together were £1, has some hallmarks on it, but it doesn't have a lion hallmark. So I think most, if not all, English sterling has a lion hallmark. So I have to do a little research on that, but at least $20, $25, maybe more on Etsy. Prices vary depending on where you're going to sell them, don't they? Okay, little silver plate egg cup, £1, adorable, and it's marked silver plate on the bottom. So I would use the paste on this one because it's so heavily tarnished. That's just how I think it would take a lot longer with the pink stuff to clean that tarnish. So let's say we get it all nice and sparkling silver, $12 to $15 from my antique booth. And now this, among my favorite finds, are 3 trophies. So this is the biggest one, £2 for that. I sold a brass trophy on a similar plastic base for $35 on Etsy. So this is silver plate, and hoping it'll go for a little bit more than that once it's cleaned up, which is going to take a little bit of effort, I think. And here's the second one. Not quite so tarnished. Now, neither of these has any engraving on them. So they actually are engravable, right? So hopefully 30 to 35 on that one. And then this is the one that's engraved. It's a ladies singles winner, C.M. Hawley, 1961. And it was £2 also for a nice little trophy. This is going to take a lot of effort to clean up. It's quite heavy, definitely silver plated, and yeah, same range, $25 to $30 for that. Oop. Okay, we're getting closer to the end. All right, I picked up some demi-tasse spoons. These were 50 cents each at Chesterfield, and I sold a set of 6 not too long ago for $34. So a set of 4 I'm hoping would be $25, something like that. Has a very, very pretty end. and they are marked nickel silver. So electroplate over nickel silver, over nickel. I picked up these cute little spoons. So this to me is like a mustard spoon. And then this one is for maybe a master salt. It's a little bit big for a typical salt, but cute as can be. £1 each. Sell them for about 12 to 15, maybe more on Etsy. You don't come across them every day, salt spoons. And then here's a spoon. Again, it has hallmarks, but no lion. It feels like sterling to me. It's light. And it was £2, and I loved the shape. I'm sure it has a specific purpose, but I have no idea what it is. So I'm gonna have to research that. Is it silver plate or is it sterling? And I have an article on my website all about that, how to tell the difference. Okay, last few things that I have are wood. Okay, believe it or not, every item that I'm gonna show you cost £1. And I used a little bit of my wood salve on them so that you could see how well it gives dried out wood a nice little drink and improves the look. So I have the recipe for my wood salve on my blog, and I will link to that down below. So this is super interesting. What is this? What is this wonderful oak box? I have no idea, but for £1, I wanted to take it and find out. So here, this side has been refreshed with some wood salve. Tremendous difference, right? So I don't know, you put something in that slot, right? It's not for voting. I mean, maybe you, oh, you know what? So there's holes here, and so maybe something held it in place like that. And maybe like a 50-50 raffle or something like that. Some sort of ticket went in there, I think. So I feel like I want to put 25. That's my price today, $25. This, I was so intrigued by this. And you can see waxed on that side, not waxed on this side. It's got a brass ring. And what it is, I didn't know immediately, but I talked with the seller, and he thinks that it was for a gavel. So a gavel would have rested in there. And then when the judge wanted to, you know, hit the gavel, he'd hit it in there. I just think that's like very cool. I feel like I want to get a gavel to sell the two together, but I might sell it separately for $25 or $30. And then I don't know what this doohickey is. It looks like it could be an ice pick, but it's like a screw on the end there. So that's screwed into something. No idea. Okay, wax, no wax. Wood salve is what I call it. No salve here, no salve here, salve here. $12 to $15. Cutest little box. I think this is probably from India. Looks like an India box with some brass inlay there. And it was £1, and I love to have small things like this in my booth, and probably $12 on that. And then the last item that I have, super cool. It's a paper cutter marked Kodak. So interesting to be in the UK and find something from the US. £1 for this adorable paper cutter. So wood salve on this side, not on that side. And then even on metal, it drastically improves the look of your metal, your wood, your plastic, even painted wood. So yeah, even though it was heavy and I was so worried about the weight coming home, I picked it up for, like I said, for £1. And I think on Etsy, it should sell for about $35 or $40. I know, it's a lot of money. Okay, now I'm going to share with you an item that just sold today on Etsy. I picked up this tablecloth with 6 napkins. at an estate sale in Pennsylvania when we were visiting my husband's family, and picked it up. It was $1 for the set, and it just sold on Etsy for $29. I charged $7.50 for the shipping because there is definitely some weight to that. So I have been finding, surprisingly, that linens sell quite well on Etsy. Linens do not sell quite well from my antique booth, but they have been selling from Etsy, and I do love good linens. This was perfect because it's new old stock, and so I didn't need to iron anything. In fact, I wouldn't buy it if it needed ironing, probably, unless it was something spectacular, because I don't like to put a lot of time and effort into the items that I'm selling, because that cuts back on the profit, right? So that's what sold for me today. I hope you're having a great day, and as always, happy hunting.